Hi, everybody. Welcome to Built Different Finance. Thanks for tuning in today. We're going to flip the roles. Mr. Roger Lubbogen, the CEO of 300 Leadership Development, welcome. He is going to be asking me the questions today, folks. So we'll see how well I do compared to everyone else. So take it away, Roger. Thanks for being here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for this chance to reverse this, to flip the script. And I love interviewing people because I think there's a lot that people can offer and teach and share about their goals, their dreams, and their journey. And I know you and Jeff are such amazing parents, a great family, great leaders. Raising three. Is it three? Yeah, three three wonderful young men, and it's just been awesome just to see you guys grow. Just getting started in business, but I want to start off with why financial services, right? So, I mean, you can go into any type of industry. You're very talented. You and Jeff are both very charismatic and very creative. But why financial services? Like there's a lot of different services and products out there that you could get into, but why this niche? Why financial services for you and Jeff?
Well, it was a God thing, that brought me here. And, I have three sons. They're kind of raising me now. They're grown in their 20s and they are done, we've been a homeschool family and now it's like, what are we going to do now? Right. And so
Mm,
it just kind of fell into my lap. And I think
mm,
God totally brought it our way because we're passionate for helping people,
mhm,
and I think that financial services, it seems like a boring field. I know someone
mm,
said, why do I want to watch something about financial services? But the thing is as I've been talking in my podcast, it's a people business. And I love people. People are amazing.
mm,
And I
mm,
have had a lot of ups and downs in life with finance. I've kind of ridden the roller coaster of finances. We didn't grow up with much food stamps, and we made it. We were happy growing up, a lot of different twists and turns as far as parents and all that. But as far as money, I never went without. And then fast forward a little bit to having children and children with special needs and trying to figure out how
mhm,
to make all the pennies match up and having some injuries. And it definitely was a roller coaster of week to week. Are we going to be able to pay the bills? So some of my friends are like, why are you in financial services? Well, before I had a family, I did work in financial services and I did that for about 10 years. When it kind of fell into my lap, this is a little different facet of it. It just kind of felt comfortable. And then the best part was being able to help people, Um,
mhm,
our children, uh, they just had issues with food and trying to figure that out and trying to live paycheck to paycheck. And so, what I love about this business is trying to help families like ours to not have to struggle, to find out a way to plan for the future, whether that's for themselves in retirement or whether that's for their kids when they're 18 and they've got a what are that called that those $1 million baby policies, right? And so
mhm.
just helping families and individuals and businesses just to be protected, it's kind of exciting to me. So it's kind of how I got involved, just passionate about helping others.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah. I know if you don't really love what you do, you'll feel like a job, but when you're very passionate about it, you'll do it regardless. So
Yeah.
thanks for sharing that. You know, building a business is not for the faint of heart. It's not for everybody. And I think a lot of people have this thing in their mind that they're gonna be working all the time, and as a mom of three, a wife, and being heavily involved in church.
Mhm.
Um, there's people out there thinking like, how can I do it? There's already a lot on my plate. So for you, like, what is your like with the business, with all the other responsibilities you have, what does your daily schedule look like, right? So if someone was gonna come in and come into business and say, hey man, can I really, really do this? Like, how do you balance it all? Like, what does your daily schedule look like when doing the business, when building the business, when prospecting and doing appointments, and then also forgetting not to put food on the table, or not forgetting to do the laundry and the dishes and everything that comes with running a household. Like, how do you do it?
Well, I will just start with when I got my license. And I work, I moved to a new state, kind of reinventing myself. And I work in the morning in home health care. I work in the afternoon with helping a single mom pick up her kiddos. And I kind of have a schedule where I'm home for a couple hours and then I'm out a couple hours. So it's kind of crazy. But I remember studying for my license, and I have another channel. I know some of you have watched it. Thanks for that. But anyway, it's my cooking channel, and it's totally for fun. But I would come home and think, I can't make dinner. I don't have time to make dinner. I have to study. So I got into a love-hate relationship with my appliances, like my Instapot, trying to make sure I could get food on the table. But I think that having a passion, which has definitely grown more and more over time, is that I just find my minutes. It's kind of like um, Jesus, right? When you or anything, right? My other channel is about saving people money. When I find something that's interesting, cost savings, new, exciting, I love to share. And so I think it's just who I am. So when I'm at the grocery store and someone strikes up a conversation with me, it just kind of comes out. And so as far as meeting people and sharing, it just kind of happens. And I think that's what I like about it, is you could take it with you on the go, and I think starting a new business, yeah, it is different. My schedule is kind of in and out all throughout the day, plus family life and anything else going on. And my husband works full time, but we are growing this business on a part-time basis to be a full-time job one of these days, and still maybe having part-time hours, because when you talk about work, I love it and it doesn't feel like work. I've gone
Mhm.
and taken my laptop to California and done a quick meeting, and it doesn't feel like work. So it's a lot of fun for me.
Love it, love it. I love how you share it. It's about finding minutes. And I know there's a quote that just came to my mind was where either find excuses or you find the time, and I think when you eliminate the excuses, you start finding reasons. And I know you and Jeff have such a passion for helping people, and uh, it never seems like it's a burden or a chore, but you really love helping people, and it shows for sure. So
Yeah, thank you.
um, yeah, yeah, and you had mentioned family, and mentioning the kids and Jeff. Next question is, for Val and I, when we first came into business, I was not I was not on board. I was actually a very, very difficult spouse. I gave Val a hard time. But for you and Jeff, maybe there's some things I just don't know or we don't see, but trying to find alignment, trying to find unity. Right, in this business, especially when he works a full-time job, and him getting licensed as well and trying to support the business as well. Like, what do you and Jeff do to stay unified, right?
Mhm.
Especially when this business can be up and down, right? When it's up, everybody's excited. When it's down, it's like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? And every entrepreneur goes through it.
Mhm.
But what have you two done to support each other? During the tough times, but also celebrate one another during the good times. So, if you could share your dynamic between you and Jeff.
Yeah, I think it's what you said. Entrepreneurs, when you're married, especially, and you're growing a business, you're either gonna grow closer or further apart. And it's definitely those days. We're very different. I get up with a goal and I'm out the door running. And he's slower, but he's more methodical and he's putting in a lot of thought about what we should do. And I'm like, pull the trigger, just do it. So I think God gave us each other for balance, and I think
Mhm.
growing the business, being an entrepreneur and anything new, you kind of have your ups and downs and you have to find your passion. And I think what's really great about our our industry, our company is all the education we get. You know,
Mm,
I think when people think, oh, financial services, but I love to sit down with someone and do a personal financial review and kind of go through their finances, see how we can help them. And I think that Jeff is growing in that passion because he loves to help people, in so many ways. And I think just being on that same page and finding balance, we do a lot of meetings together. So it's really fun
mm,
to play off of each other and even to see how we've grown in that. And
mm,
I think, we work different, but we're able to throw off ideas. And I think when you're married, you have to learn to listen to each other and see, well, I
mm,
don't want to do it that way, and I don't want to do it that way. It's definitely been those days, but it's fun when something happens and it's like ding, 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 winner, we're all on the same page. And so
mm.
I think that, it's never easy, right? It is a roller coaster, no matter if you open a McDonald's or you've got the
Mm,
State Farm agency down the line. We just have a new platform being on Zoom. We're just able to
mm.
be portable and take it wherever we go. And I think it's interesting too when we do go out of town that oh, you got your computer, we might have a meeting. It's not weird. It's not, why do you want to work? It doesn't feel like work. And so
I
it
love it.
is challenging to get things moving along, but when it's progressing, we really do enjoy it.
I love that. Yeah, I heard this recently that if you want to become the best version of yourself, start a business.
Mm.
But I think that also relates to marriage. If you want a closer marriage, start a business because I do believe a business will expose all the little flaws and weaknesses, and it's an
Mhm.
opportunity to face them, but grow,
Mhm.
and ask yourself, hey, do I really, really want to change, And
Mhm.
I just seen you and Jeff really take that on, and it's just been such a joy to watch you guys grow. It's been awesome. Um, a business has many different facets, has many different, I would say even like departments. Big corporations have an HR department, has, an engineering department, has this department and whatnot. Um, as a mom, what kind of I don't know, what kind of skills has being a mom like has what kind of skills has uh like being a mom has it helped you build this business, right? So for instance, my wife is really, really good at organizing and structure and doing a lot of the back end things.
Mhm.
But like what skills, I would say skills as a mom, but what traits as a mom has really helped you with the business, especially when leading people, when coaching people and helping people and being there for people? How
Mhm.
has those traits as a mom helped you, or like have those skills transferred over to this business?
Absolutely, they have, and I think that this business could be great for stay-at-home moms. I always think
Mhm.
about that because I was a stay-at-home mom. I always had kind of side businesses, and I, was there for my children. But I think kind of with your children, wherever they are, that's the thing that you want to educate yourself on. And so I think
Mhm.
that, like kind of what you were saying previously, what I've done a lot in this business is a lot of self work, a lot of,
Mhm.
like I'm not really into self help, but it's like amazing how many things I listen to about mindset and motivation. And I think as a mom, you get up every day, and I have three sons. What's the wild day going to be like? You have to get your mindset correctly, and if it isn't correct, then you're going to be frustrated. So I think being a mom, you've got to juggle cleaning the house, paying the bills, carpool, talking to their friends, talking to your kids, being there when they need you. And I would definitely say that relates back to as growing an agency. Everybody's got their ups and downs in life. Are you going to be a good listener? Are you going to be a servant? Are you going to really be helpful? Or are you going to be
Mhm.
like it's all about, move out of the way. I've got to get paid today. I don't have time to talk to you. No. And that's been great as and growing an agency and having different people on the team to be able to sit down, much like you are such an incredible example, you and Valerie Roger, to sit and listen to us. It's like my counseling session, but it's so good because we need that in life. If COVID taught us anything, it's that we need each other. I used to go to the grocery store and people would stand around just to chat. And I thought people need that human connection. And so I think even, my sons all have their licenses, and watching them study and have a fun time with it, it's so amazing to go deeper in our conversations, but just helping
Mm,
to, I guess, helping them to spread their wings and grow. I mean, that's what we do as a mom, right? It's hard
yeah.
when you get to that point where they all fly the coop, right? You're like, where are you going? Wait. But I think mine are kind of more and more to that point. But I feel like I've really given them an opportunity to grow. It's theirs to do
Love it.
with it what they will. And it's the same
Mm,
way in growing a business. As an entrepreneur, you are always trying to figure out something new, a new way to grow, a new way to be there for your agency, for your clients. And so I really think that that is kind of where we're headed and what we've been trying to work on.
that's beautiful. Love it. Love it. Now it's I just see the dynamic between you and the kids and Jeff really show, but when it becomes to a mom in the home, but a mom in business, it doesn't. There's no separation between the two.
Right.
You care about the people at home and you care about the people in business,
Mhm.
and I think moms just have a way of doing it that that a dad or a man can't do. So we definitely need you in our lives for sure. Um, there's a saying that in order to have long-term success or long-term rewards, you have to have short-term sacrifice, and building this business now for about a little over a year now, how has building this business changed your family's lifestyle? You mentioned like the conversations with you and the kids have become different, which is awesome. But what vision, yeah, so that's the first question. How does it change your lifestyle? But the second question, what vision keeps you going? The vision for yourself, the vision for your marriage, the vision for the kids. Is there something there that pulls you when it's not always easy, right? Is there something there that kind of keeps you grounded, but also keeps you going?
Yeah, definitely. It'll be 2 years at the end of the year here. And I think that, you know, um, my husband's worked kind of a lifetime. And he's worked two jobs and overtime for like 15 years while I had small kids with special needs. And, thank God that we were able to figure out how to help them. And so I think my mom died when I was 20. And even
Mm,
though I wasn't a child, that kind of never leaves you, right? And
mm,
so I always look ahead to wanting us to be healthy, wanting us to be financially responsible and be able to take care of ourselves so that we can help others. And I know that my vision is getting to a point where this is our full time and that we are able to sit down and help others and give. I have such a passion for giving to others, and we have so many creative things. I think losing my mom young, Jeff's dad lived into his 70s, but it's always hard to lose your family. And I think whenever somebody has passed away, I've had a sister pass away and friends and other family, it just makes me realize the importance of life. We're in this
mm,
life insurance business. My team is Tree of Life. And it's not just about life insurance, it's about deep roots and growing and spreading out and thriving and creating air, cleaner air, like it's a whole vision with it.
mm.
And I think that my vision is really, I want us to take advantage of our days. I don't want to,
Wow.
work until we are done. with something that's difficult, where I always think this business, I could probably do this whenever, right? But I want to be able to enjoy life. It is such a mist. It does go quickly. And I
Yeah.
think that the people passing away in my family has really taught me to value and appreciate life. When we moved a few years ago, I was like, I don't want to be stuck. I want to thrive. I want to grow. I want to flourish. And so I want to be able to give that to others as people join our agency. We're all really good friends and everybody's so giving, and I want to just continue that to grow. And I think Jeff feels the same way. You work really hard for your company, but what do you
Mm,
get back in the end? Are they building you up? Are they breathing life into you? Are you feeling
wow.
encouraged and filled up? And with most things, you're not, but with this, I definitely am. And I think
Mm,
that's, again, for you and Valerie, Roger, how you have really given that to us, no matter if we're winning or we're losing, that there's such
mm,
support. And I know people don't get that at work now, you know?
yeah.
And so I just am always in awe that we get to do this. I'm excited for
Mm.
more people that we meet to be able to do this. So I'm super grateful.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I have this saying that use your free time to free up your time until all your time is free time.
Hmm.
And it's true, the time that is not ours, like we're either giving to an employer or working 30, 40, 50, 60 hours away from our family. That's time we can be spending with our loved ones and going on trips. And, majority of society, we can have all the money, but we don't have the time, or we can have all the time and not have any of the money. But in this business, you can have both. You can have all your time and your money, and you can give your time to whoever you choose to. So, definitely looking forward to you and Jeff achieving that. Super exciting. And I got one last question. Is that okay with you?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, if let's say there's a mom who just turned on this podcast and who's listening in, and they're torn, right? They want to start a business. Maybe they see their husband working the same amount as Jeff, just working 2 to 3 jobs, and has side hustles and this and that, and has kids. But they have to take care of the home. They have to take care of the kids,
Mhm.
and they're just torn. Do they build the business? Right. And even for yourselves, you're heavily involved in church. Faith is a big deal. For those thinking they have to choose
Mm,
between, all right, am I going to build the business? Am I going to support the family? Am I going to raise the kids? Am I going to be involved in church? For those who are torn, and they really want to do it, like, what would you tell them? What would you tell that stay-at-home mom, or even like the mom who does work a job, who's like, man, I'm just tired of working and I want to do something. I want to build something. What would you do? What would you tell her? What would you say to encourage her?
it's kind of in my mind, I'm thinking it's what you do in your downtime, right? We're so used
Mm,
to entertainment and, what can we do? Let's go out to eat. Let's watch a show. Let's do this. But if you spend a couple of hours just, having a meeting with the client, talking to
mm,
someone about the business, just those couple of hours, maybe a week, it could be transformational for your life. And you could spend 5 years working extremely hard to never have to work again, you know?
wow.
And I've seen that with so many people, we're striving for that. But I think it's that you could do it. You put the kid, I studied for my test in like about a week and just made it fun. There's like a Kahoots game. There's all kinds of stuff depending on how you learn. I use my car time to listen to my study materials. But if you put your kids down for a nap, you might be able to do an hour appointment. You walk away with $500 or whatever, right? Whatever you might happen to do in that appointment. And it really helps your family because I don't know about you if you've gone and gotten gas and groceries lately, but it's overwhelming, because you're only making so much money. And I live in Houston, Texas, and I always have said here that everybody's got a side hustle to their side hustle, and I'm not exaggerating. It just costs a lot of money to live these days, and so this is something that you could put in how much ever time you want to reach your goals. Whether it's you're that
Mm,
stay-at-home mom and you just want to make sure that your husband can take a vacation or take time off. You're helping pay the bills or saving for the fun things or paying for the groceries. And so it's definitely doable. And what's even better is that we are here to support, people and talk to them when they're having a hard time or share our tips. And if we don't have the tips they need, we're able to tap someone else on the shoulder. So I definitely believe it is doable, even as women or man and wife work full time. You can come home, you can put your kids to bed, work a couple of hours, and still get to bed on time. And you are growing your business. So it really just depends on what you want, what do you want to achieve. And like the channel is built different finance, right? So it is
mm,
about having goals for yourself. Sorry
mm,
about that. Goals for yourself and thinking about your future, whether that's
mm.
your future, your child's future, putting money into something and having it protected. So, we talked a little bit about taxes. It's kind of the month of tax season. And I would like to keep my money. I'd like for others to keep their money. So we just really try to help people come up with good plans, to where you're saving but you're also able to live, whether that be now or in the future.
Love that. Love that. Thank you so much for sharing, Shanna. And when I think about when I think about what we do for families, we really, really care. Like, and for you to sit down and show that care, and I love what you said. Hey, what would an hour do? We waste so much time.
Mm.
There's Netflix, there's Disney Plus, there's Hulu.
Yeah.
We can go out to eat. I mean, if you're in Houston, you're spending at least an hour, hour and a half on the freeway and
Yeah.
driving to different places. But it's true. I did this Bible study recently on the word instead. And what could you be doing instead?
Mm. Mhm.
That's my mindset. Like, hey, I could be doing this, but what's the alternative? Like, there's got to be a good, better, best, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, taking care of what's important, that do it, right? But instead of eating this, you could eat this. And,
Mhm.
I think that's really important. Like, hey, what do you want your life to look like? What do you want your life to look like in the next 4 or 5 years? If you don't do something different today, you won't have a different tomorrow. And I definitely see that in you and Jeff. You guys are doing something different today. You're changing your family's legacy, and I'm super excited just to witness it and be a part of it. And really looking forward to just seeing you guys grow. So thank you so much for allowing me to interview you. Such great questions, and for anybody who's listening, please schedule a time where you can get to know our business and see what we do for families. But definitely excited to see the Schmidt family and their journey. So thanks for letting me interview you guys.
Thank you so much, Roger. And, again, it's just about the choices we make. We're
Mm.
making our choices, whether the other day, my husband and I, we watched a few hours of TV and I said, that's it for the week. It's just those choices and that mindset. And so, everybody out there, we're here for you to focus on your finances, to be able to build your future different. If you have anything that you need, my information will be in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.